Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Board Member Parker is out of town and unable to attend the meeting today. Doesn't look like we had anyone signed up to address the board today. We'll move on to approval of the minutes of April 7th, 2021. Do you have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries. On to approval of the agenda. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor of the approval of the agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That is approved. No new conflicts of interest were presented. We'll move on to the consent agenda. Items 7A through D. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That is approved. Now to reports. Today, President, dual credit concurrent enrollment fall report, please.
Well, good afternoon, President Mickelson, members of the board. My name is Benjamin Valdez, Vice President of Academic Affairs at Southeast Tech. We wanted to provide you with an update regarding our current endeavors into the dual enrollment and concurrent enrollment world. Starting with, we're very excited to announce that we just signed a concurrent enrollment agreement with the Sioux Falls School District. The concurrent enrollment MOU that we signed with the district allows us to actually start having high school instructors teach Southeast Tech courses at the high school, and students earn dual credit, both high school and credit at Southeast Tech. Our goal is that we're able to start embedding more and more general education and then programmatic courses, especially on the CTE side with CTE Academy, that students can start to complete credits early and complete at a lower cost. If you look at the National Alliance of Concurrent Enrollment Programs Accreditation Board, NACEP, which we're currently seeking accreditation for our concurrent enrollment program, they really talk a lot about what they call the sweet spot of 12 to 15 credits, that students who earn 12 to 15 dual enrollment credits while in high school matriculate at a much larger rate into post-secondary education, and their completion rates are much higher and being on time as well. So we're really trying to provide those additional options and really expose students to more opportunities. In addition, outside of the Sioux Falls School District, we're also working with the other surrounding school districts within our service area. Brandon Valley High School District, as an example, we started the EMT course last fall. We're expanding this fall to continue that, as well as adding the CNA in the Harrisburg School District. We have been working with them regarding both construction. Students are earning construction certificates out there, earning anywhere from 8 or so credits for the construction program. In addition to CNA, we're also working with them they're starting an automotive program, so they've been working with us very closely to align their curriculum with ours so students can start to earn credits there as well. Down in T, we've been working with them. We were supposed to start this year with both construction and welding. Unfortunately, because of COVID, that kind of threw a complete kink in everything with how they had to operate and some construction delays that they had. So we're hoping to we've been working with them to re-pick that up and start this fall. And then we've been working with other districts as well to really provide more options and provide students that ability to continue on and being able to complete at a much higher rate. I now stand open for questions.
No questions. I just love that this is moving forward, and hopefully some other issues and hiccups. I know that dual enrollment's still working with our schools, and Department of Ed can get fixed. I know that the timing of those classes is an issue. I noticed just with my son trying to enroll and so forth. So hopefully we get those fixed. So I think anytime we can offer to children the opportunity to take classes, college credit classes at a much reduced cost is a great thing for our students. So thank you for your work on this.
I'd like to introduce Dr. Craig Peters to continue to talk about concurrent enrollment we do during the summer with our high school partners.
Thank you, Benjamin.
Thank you, President Mickelson, members of the board. My name is Dr. Peters. I'm the Dean of Curriculum Instruction at Southeast Tech, and I'm going to continue Dr. Valdez's discussion by talking about two of the things where we've applied this and with summer academies. So you did get two handouts, and if you will look at them, basically we'll start with the Construction Career Academy. When you hear a summer career academy, what we're really talking about is collaboration between industry and education to provide a pathway for high school students so they can earn through dual credit courses. The first one we have is our Summer Construction Academy. And this academy pathway allows you to go into certificates. It allows you to go into our new teleconstruction degree. It allows you to go into apprenticeships. It also allows you to complete our degree in construction management. Then we also have the additional 2+2 arrangements with four-year schools. So this program was created through one of our sector breakfasts. And what we did was after that, we had a number of follow-up meetings with Home Builders Association of General Contractors. This one had the South Dakota Department of Labor, South Dakota Department of Ed. A lot went into this. And what we found out was we did a lot of listening. And every industry is really looking, how do you get students into their field? Like right now, I heard there was 150 houses for sale in Sioux Falls. That's it. I think I heard from home builders last year we could build 6,000 homes, not even touch it. So construction's obviously a very important area. So by listening to them, we found out that if we created a summer academy where you have an educational experience, it allows them to hire people because the insurance will let them go to the academic program where they would not, if you were just trying to hire someone like we did when I was young. So what we did was we basically had a 10-week program, and they started at Southeast Tech. So you worked a full day, whether you're at school or whether you're on the job. So the first week you were really at Southeast a lot, and then as the session progressed, you're at Southeast one day, you're working on the job for 4 days. The big part with this was the partnerships where the contractors paid for dual credit, they paid for their books, and they paid them while they were actually attending school as well. The base pay was $12.50 when we started. They keep wanting to increase it because of the need. When you look at $48.33, you're like, that's really cheap. But to the students we had, that was tremendous. So, this session has, I think, 5 credits in it. That's $200. For some of the students we're targeting, that money was not accessible. So we really kind of worked through that. We had great success with it. It started as a pre-apprenticeship. We moved it to dual credit. It works with our systems. It works with the high schools, and it allows everything to go through. You can kind of see on this one, we're really talking about safety, basic construction. After completing this, you can go out and get a job. And for some people, that's what they need, so then they can continue working. We did just have our event on Monday. We had 7 contractors at Southeast Tech. 14 students were there. We do have a couple age concerns because this is a dual credit program, so we're hoping to partner 11 folks for this summer, okay? I'll scroll back up, and this is our new one, and it's a horticulture career. So a year or so ago, we had our green industry partners come and say, what can we do? And we're like, well, we have a model for you. Then COVID. So that pretty much blew everything out of the water. We started the process again this year. We've had a new faculty change that's been very strong for the program. So right now what we're doing is we are trying to set up those relationships between industry partners and also the students. We just met with some industry folks yesterday. There's strong buy-in. It's kind of a tight timeline for trying to get this one done. But the goal here is really to give 4 credits, Hort Science, so whether you come to Southeast Tech, whether you go to SDSU, these are courses that are going to get people interested in the career as well as provide them pathways. So our goal then is to continue these and hopefully do some longitudinal data analysis to see, are these people actually going into these career fields? Because we believe they are. So any questions from the board?
Oh, I think that's a amazing opportunity. You think about kids who, other kids who might be interested in finance or business, and they're out looking for internships. And this is really the equivalent, but even better than an internship, because in many of those cases, it may be an unpaid internship where you don't walk away with nothing, but you walk away with the experience. But that's a hard thing for people to afford, is to give up a summer without pay. And so this really is like the best of both worlds, to get some college credits, to get paid, and to have a job that's giving you that real world experience. So these are awesome. And I hope that we can continue to kind of watch these things grow, whether it's through nursing or through, different things to really grab those people and give them the opportunity to try it out and get some really good experience while also doing what they need to do, which is likely work.
Yeah, we were
and for a
talking-
good pay, that's a good salary too for the summer, or a good hourly wage. You go to other places and you might make $10 or $11 and you're just kind of going through the motions because you have a job, where this is the meaning behind it and the connectivity of people you meet, and the potential, like you said, of continuing that education on past high school is much greater. So very exciting new stuff.
Thank you. Anything else?
The leadership from your institution just continues to inspire this idea of where there's a will, there's a way. You truly implement that for students and make it possible, and I feel good about that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Just want to ditto everything they said, and I just think if we can grow this even further, it'd be amazing to do that within other programs, because I just think the opportunity to get them in that door of a couple college credits at no cost to them, using our industry partners to do that will just further enhance, our students who might have some barriers into getting into college and so forth. So thank you very much. Do I have a motion to acknowledge both the dual credit concurrent enrollment report and the construction and horticultural summer academies report?
Second.
A motion second. All those in favor of acknowledging those reports signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Those both carry. Thank you. We're ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just
Sorry, I
waiting.
was opening it on my computer.
No, that's
too.
okay. Just waiting for the invitation.
You bet.
President Mickelson, members of the board, Rich Kloon, Vice President of Finance and Operations. Just want to briefly touch on our third quarter financials and give you an oral report and hit some of the highlights of our various funds. So as you look at the post-secondary fund, what I'm really trying to focus on today is the tuition and fees. As we get to the third quarter, things start to coalesce, and we can kind of see where we're going to wind up as we head into the end of the year and can start making some pretty decent projections. So as you look at tuition, the preliminary charges are out there for this summer already, so I can see those. They're not going to be final. Obviously, there'll be some drops and adds, but at this point, we are going to be down a little bit from that budget estimation when we develop, but that's been pretty consistent in our conversations throughout this fiscal year. But right now, it kind of looks like we're going to wind up about exactly where we were in FY20. So in light of everything going on, I think that's a very positive thing, and you're only looking at a $300,000 or $400,000 differential just on the tuition side of things. So very manageable. Clearly not where you hope to be, but my track record in doing this for about 17 years is I've always been a little bit high on the revenue estimates. When we look at the fees, we're going to be a little bit closer there. We'll be above where we were last year, probably coming in right at about 5.9 million. Part of the differential from last year relates to the fact that we waived some of the summer fees for the online, if you remember, so that had about $100,000 impact in that particular line item category. So tuition down about 4.5%, fees probably down about 2.3%. As I go to present the budget here in a couple weeks, we'll have some of those further projections as to where we think we'll wind up for year end. On the corporate ed side, we are not going to make that 196 at this point. We're a little bit ahead of where we were last year, but not on that pace. So we will fall a little bit short there, but again, it's a fairly small line item, so not a huge impact. State aid, we're spot on that, might be just a little bit ahead. The allocation formula came in just a little bit higher. M&R, while it looks, or the other state, excuse me, this is a reimbursement based on some equipment purchases that the state funded. We haven't submitted our request yet. We haven't even received all the equipment yet. So those funds will be coming in, and we haven't received our M&R allocation yet either, so that'll be coming, so we should be pretty close there. The Perkins, for the large part, are all reimbursement based. So even if the revenue is off a little bit, the expenditure side of it is down as well as an offset. So the Perkins will be spot on where that is. ABE is just a timing difference. You don't see zero. We've actually had the funds reimbursed, but the way we do that program, part of it's state funds, part of it's federal funds. So I always recognize the revenue in the state category first, and then we start picking up the federal pieces after that. State doesn't distinguish when they reimburse us, whether it's state or federal. The local support, the grants and donations are from the foundation, so that'll be right on, and we shouldn't vary from that very far. The other local, that will have some variance to it, but it's really related to the laptop sales. We project a little bit higher, but again, there's an offsetting cost to that, so we didn't buy as many laptops as well either. So overall, I think revenue is looking fairly good given the condition and the environment that we're in. We're going to be down a little bit from what we budgeted, but you're going to see some offsets on the expenditure side. So I think we're going to, at the end of the day, end up in a position better than where we thought we were going to be. When you look at the expenditures, think about us being at 75% of the year through March. So as you look down at the various categories, we are very close to all of these at that 75% range, maybe a little bit favorable in some areas. Postage, obviously at 142%, but again, not that big of a line item, but also not a surprise. Doing a lot more mailings than what we would have done in years prior, just because of the gathering and the mechanism that we're doing with recruiting. So a little bit different. On the software upgrades, you'll see an offset to that down in the software category. So the software upgrades come into an object code that's in the professional services. Software is actually a supplies thing. So there's always a little bit of categorization there where we might put the budget in one, but we expend it out of the other one. But when you look at them combined, we're on track there. So you'll see the upgrades outpacing what the budget amount was. But if you look down at the software, that's actually offset there. So it's really just an accounting designation. Food is a category. Obviously, we're not meeting face-to-face as much, so we're not doing as much food. And I think you'll see that when we get into the food service fund, because we do buy a lot of the stuff from the food service that we have out there. On the equipment side of it, or the capital pieces of it, the big thing there, and I've talked about this before, is in the land improvements. That's related to that Terry Avenue extension. So we haven't billed for our portion of it yet. That'll come through operational services at whatever point Jeff allocates that over to that. Hopefully it's this fiscal year yet, but it kind of depends on when that project's done. You might see me carrying those funds over when we get to the final adoption of it. The other thing that's going to be a little bit of a favorable variance in there is related to the parking lot. We had budgeted the second phase of the tech center parking lot in there, about $450,000 in budget. We got a head start, and some of that came out of last fiscal year, so we're a little bit ahead in that area. So, we were planning in dipping into our existing cash balances in the range of $2 million. And if you remember, this was really from the prior year where we didn't get all the projects completed. They just rolled into the next year. So if you recall, our end results from FY20 were about 1.3 million to the good, but it really is just a timing difference. So when you roll that into the next year, that 2 million is largely related to those projects that we didn't complete in the prior year. So that's the highlights of the post-secondary fund. Questions?
Just, you talked at your last report about those federal funds that would help cover those fees. So how much to the good will that make that after those funds could possibly come in?
Well, that'll come in a different revenue category, so it'll come in under the federal. But if memory serves, they're right around 110,000. We've also,
I know a different category, but it does offset that.
Yeah, it will offset that. There will actually be some other categories because in this round two of it, HERF 2, it's actually the CCRSSA or whatever that second set of initials are related to it. They've expanded the utilization of those CARES from an institutional level and allow us to recruit some lost revenues. So that certainly becomes eligible, but it even expands broader than that. So like when you look at the corporate ad, which was largely truck driving fees, we're going to be able to recover some of that as well. We'll actually be able to look at our tuition and fees and compare back. And there's multiple methodologies that are out there in the literature right now. So some of them are saying just look at that period of that 3 months within that fiscal year. Other models or guidance is talking about a year-to-year comparison. There's also looking at a 3-year averaging. So as you look at this, when I tell you that I'm projecting our tuition this year is going to be about what it was last year, I might want to look at the 3-year modeling just to see what's happened with that. So we're going to look at that and analyze that and see what puts us in the best position for that recovery. The other federal funds that'll be coming in, that's in that other federal and reimbursement, that's some of the PP&E that we bought when we geared up. Also the ventilation system that we did throughout the district, we were part of that, so we'll start to recover those funds as well. So that'll be one of the assignments here as we go to develop the 22 budget as well. If we look at the waiting till the completion year, it might actually wind up showing as FY22 revenue, since that's when it's actually measurable at that point, and we would record it then. Now, the other thing that we would probably look to do is that we've got some one-time types of expenditures. Since this is an ongoing funding, it makes very good sense to utilize that one-time money to play some catch-up on some things we've kicked down the road. And just as an example, furniture was an item that we used to have an individual line item each year, and as things started to tighten up, it became a very easy line to say, we're going to get by one more year, which turned into one more year and one more year and one more year. So now it's time to do that, and it's not something that you have to reprogram again in a subsequent fiscal year. It buys you 10, 15 years on some of that equipment, so it'll be my replacement someday to have to deal with it and program that. But so it makes sense, and we'll try to program that as we go to do these calculations and figure out what leaves us in the best percentage that's in compliance with the education department. So that's just hitting round 1 and 2. There's still a 3 and potentially a 4th round coming. The literature that we've heard on the 3rd round is there still be a grant distribution to students again. We haven't seen any guidance on the institutional side of it. On our institutional funds, we're also doing some projects. I think on the consent agenda, there was a bunch of purchase orders there. That's all focused going towards distance learning and expanding our capacity to provide distance learning, to provide hybrid learning in some of these different environments. So rather than looking at a camera off of a laptop, the production quality is going to be much better, and the engagement from those folks on the other side of it will be a lot better as well. So we'll be able to use not lost revenue funds, but actually direct institutional allocation for that, because it fits that distance learning requirement. So a lot of things in the air yet that are still swirling, but those things will start to come together as we go to present the budget. On the bookstore fund, nothing there, no surprises. We're a little bit ahead on the revenue side of it. It really is an element of enrollments and choices that students make in terms of, are they buying new textbooks? Are they buying rental? Or are they going outside of our market or outside of our provision to provide those course materials? So you see that same offset down on the expenditure side of it as well. You see revenue pacing out at about 84%. You see expenditures being a little bit higher as well. That reflects the acquisition of those items for resale. The next fund is the food service fund. This will be an area where we can probably recover some revenue as well, because we shut the food service down in March. The second thing is with the hybrid learning environment that we're in this year, we haven't had as great a utilization of it because we haven't had the full complement of students on campus every day. So I think this is certainly an area where we could look to recover some revenue. And as I mentioned in the post-secondary fund, what's really down in here is a lot related to the catering events. You've seen from an institutional standpoint, we haven't spent very much on food as far as post-secondary fund, but also the outside. We haven't allowed a lot of folks to utilize our facilities for an outside use just because of the COVID, but that's starting to open up. So we're going to start opening that up as we head into the summer months and into the winter months, so we'll recover that. On the child care fund, some of the same type of thing there. When you're in a hybrid environment, you're not utilizing those services quite as much, so this is another revenue category that we may be able to recover. The state provided some funds too through Department of Social Services. That was a pass-through of federal CRF funds. So we'll just make sure we're not double dipping there, that we're not hitting it for the same thing, but we should be able to pick up some funds there as well. The other thing on the child care fund I just want to mention and kind of give you a heads up on, in the audit at the end of last year, we had a negative cash situation in that fund. And typically the way we close out, you can't end a fiscal year or report with a negative cash balance. So in effect, what you do is a interfund transfer, and it becomes a loan from the post-secondary fund. The auditors do not want us to carry that into next year. So at some point, I'll probably be asking for a supplemental transfer from the post-secondary fund to make that a permanent transfer. But before I do that, I want to kind of project where I think we're going to end up and actually what those cash needs will be. So I doubt I'll be right on, but I don't want to overfund it. I just want to make sure we're providing the right amount as we transfer it. So you'll see that either when we bring forward the budget adoption or in the June reporting time. So that'll be coming. So that's it on a very high level. I tried to hit the high points as we start to wrap up the year. We'll go into a little more detail. Like I say, when we go to seek that tentative adoption of the budget, we'll look at not only where we're going, but where we think we're going to end up this year and fine tune that a little bit, do a little deeper analysis, deeper dig than what I did here. But that's what's coming.
Awesome. Any questions for Rich?
Do you know if we've done any, I don't know, advertising, reaching out to like the new Jefferson staff in regards to the childcare? Just to try to, so the new teachers or the new staff members that will be teaching at Jefferson, being able to have a convenient location with the Scarborough Center.
I don't know specifically, no,
Okay.
if we've done anything directly. Yeah, that's certainly
Be a good option.
a mechanism that we can get with the principal and see if we can get that messaging out there. I know we do it already, but you can't necessarily rely on word of mouth because it not be the right people connected with the right folks. So yeah, it's a good idea.
Exactly.
We'll see if
I
we can.
have written down to email Dan Conrad with Bob, actually, on my list.
Yeah, I
just
think,
to do
yeah,
that.
that's a good point because part of what staff bring to it is a longer commitment in terms of the number of hours a week. Students in a hybrid or in and out, they may not need we don't necessarily make everybody do a 40-hour contract. We try to do 30 and 40,
Right.
but we also provide a hourly drop-off rate as well. And I suspect that hourly drop-off rate has been utilized to a higher degree in this last year and those 30 and 40-hour contracts to a lesser extent. But yeah, when you get to full-time staff in there, that becomes a much better deal. I think we also probably need to look at our pricing a little bit. We're consistent. We try to stay with child care assistance. We try to look at that. But I think one of the things that we probably do not do in terms of maybe what the private sector does is that tiered rate for that second and third child for the siblings. So we have different rate structures depending upon the need and the ratios. So infants are higher than, say, she has names for them, penguins and all of that type of stuff, but to the toddlers, and those are different rates based on those needs just because the ratios are 5-to-1 versus 8-to-1. But we probably need to look at some modeling on maybe that opens it up, especially when you get into full-time staff, that if I have a sibling, want them in the same place, can we try to offer some tiered discounting for that? And I think that puts us maybe on a better playing field or a more even playing field with what the private sector tries to do. That's a good point.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Rich? Seeing none, do I have a motion to acknowledge the third quarter finance report?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That carries. Dr. Griggs, do you have anything else? I'd like to remind graduation is May 7th. Two ceremonies, Senator Thune and Congressman Dusty Johnson will be speaking at those two. And then the Vet Tech Building, is it May 21st or when is the? 27th, it's right before I come back, May 27th, thank you. That's having their announcement, so that's kind of exciting. So if any of the board members would like to attend, let Dr. Griggs know. Other than that, do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion second. All those in favor of adjournment signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you.